Welcome everyone to the Shiur on Parsha's Vayechi. Bruchim Habaim. Vayechi is the last Sedra in Chumash Bereshis. At the end of the Parsha, the minhag is that we say the words Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazek. We should be strong, continue to be strong, and even strengthen ourselves even more. So it's Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazek. We've had occasion to mention in the past, the famous Gemara in Masechta Brachos, that there are arba tzrichim chizuk. There are four things that need chizuk. The four things are tefillah, davening needs chizuk, Torah needs chizuk, derech eretz needs chizuk, which means that business, that's what derech eretz here means. Derech eretz needs chizuk, and the milas chesed, kindness, needs chizuk. So there are four things that need chizuk. Now, why do they need chizuk? Well, the answer is obvious. When it comes to milas chesed, we do kindness for people. We do it for the sake of being kind to another person. And generally speaking, we do expect that someone will return that kindness to us in turn. If we're kind to someone, we expect that they would grant us that kindness too. Unfortunately, many times we go around and we do kindness and we don't get paid back with kindness. So a person could easily say to themselves, what's the point? I shouldn't even bother being nice to people. Every time I'm nice, it gets back thrown at me. It doesn't pay. Not so. The reason we're kind is because we're supposed to be kind. The reason we do a chesed is because it's right to do a chesed. We may not get anything back in return, but we do it because it's right to do. And we have to be mechazik ourselves. We have to strengthen ourselves that we're going to continue to do kindness, even though the kindness is not repaid in kind. Business, any businessman, I assume, can tell you that we've tried many times to really make it big. And I thought that each deal that I was involved in, this was going to be the one that I made it big. And somehow we started a business, didn't work. We started another one, didn't work. We invested here, we invested there, it didn't work. So if everyone would give up because business ventures or investments did not pan out to fruition, there'd be nobody investing and nobody going into business. But because we constantly strive, even when we don't make it big, we still do the best we can. We go to work, we go to do another day's worth of business or sales or whatever it is, because we know we need chizuk. And that's why derech eretz, business, needs chizuk. You don't succeed at once, you try again. Tefillah, prayer needs chizuk? Of course. What does David HaMelech say at the end of Tilim Chav Zayin? Kaveh el Hashem, have faith in Hashem, chazak v'yamitz libecha, be strong and fortify your heart, v'kaveh el Hashem, and continue to have hope and faith in Hashem. For many, many years, we've tried, we've hoped, we prayed, and we always think maybe this prayer, and sometimes it's discouraging. And a person can think, what's the point of davening? What's the point of asking? What's the point of praying? I don't get what I want. So we should know, number one, we don't daven because we get what we want. That's not what mispalel means, but that's another discussion. But the point of the entire exercise is not to give up hope. The Jewish people do not give up hope. Kaveh el Hashem. We have faith in Hashem, even if it didn't work the first time we daven again. We didn't succeed in our first davening, we're going to daven some more. We're going to daven again. Because we're going to daven again, hopefully we're going to pray to Hashem and he will see that we are sincere. Now, it doesn't mean even then we're going to get. That's not the point. We're not davening to get. We're davening because it's the right thing to do. And we know the address where the prayers are supposed to go. And of course, the last thing is Torah. Torah needs chizuk. They're both sides. We've spent practically the entire Sefer Bereshis studying together. Sefer Bereshis. Each week, we've given shiurim on the Parsha. Many of us do Shnayim Mikra Ve'echad Targum, which we're supposed to do. We're supposed to read the Parsha twice in its original and once in translation. Some even add on the study of Rashi. But we read the Torah. Now, all Sefer Bereshis has been completed as of this Shabbos. Can each of us say in honesty, I've got it. I know Sefer Bereshis. I've got it in my hand. I understand it all. I can darshan. I can explain. I fathom what God was trying to tell us through the Parsha and Perik of each and every chapter in Bereshis. No, none of us. I don't think there's any one of us who could say, it's mine, I own it. And yet we've done it every single week for this past year. And for many of us, it's not the first time we've done that. Some of us have actually learned the Parsha many, many times. Maybe even 50 times, maybe even more. And even though we've done all that, we may not have a handle on each and every one of it. So we can say to ourselves, what's the point? I'll never know every Rashi. I'll never understand every pasuk. I'll never know every word. There's so many words in this week's Sedra, when it comes to the blessings that Yaakov gives his children, some of those words are poetically obscure and so difficult for us to know what they mean. And yet we keep learning because we don't give up. And that's why we say chazak, chazak. In this chazek, it gives us chizuk. Okay, we're going to go and we're going to do some screen sharing now. And I'm going to open a few pages that are very important to us. What I'd like to do is I'd like to begin with the very first pasuk in this week's schedule. Let's see if I can get it right away. We're going to try to get that particular pasuk as soon as we can right now. Just give me a moment. Okay. Let's see if we can get it right now. Here it is. Okay, the first pasuk in the Parsha. You all see it? Yes? I hope you all see it. I know
No.
You don't see it?
No.
No, okay. No, okay, so let me go back a step. And I'll see if I can get it done. Okay. See if I can get it done. I must have made a mistake somewhere along the line. Let's see if we can move this out of the way. And go out of this and get to this. 1 second. We'll try to get it done. Oh boy. That didn't work. All right. One minute, be with you in a moment. We've got the screen share, but I want to get the right screen to share. Let's see if we can do it. 1 second. All right, here we go. Now we're going to get it. All right, now you see it.
Right.
Okay, good. It's a little technically challenging over here. Okay, so this is the beginning of the Sedra, right? Vayechi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim. And Yaakov lived in the land of Egypt, Sheva Esrei Shana, for 17 years. Vayehi Yemei Yaakov Shnei Chayav, and the days of Yaakov, the years of his life, were Sheva Shana ve'arba mi'as Shana, 147 years. Yaakov lived 147 years, but at the beginning, it starts with Vayechi Yaakov and Yaakov lived be'eretz Mitzrayim in the land of Egypt, 17 years. The rest of his life is not included in those 17 years. Those were the 17 years that he lived. He was reunited with his son Yosef. He was together with all the other Shvatim. And as I've mentioned many times before, people always ask, why didn't Yosef let his father know? Why didn't he let him know that he was alive? And Rav Shamshon Ferl Hirsch so beautifully explains, he couldn't have let him know. If he would have let him know that he was alive, the father would ask, how did you get there? What happened? I want you to tell me how it happened. And Yaakov would not give up until he heard how it happened. And Yosef ultimately would have to tell him, because Yaakov would find out. Either he'd surmise, he'd go to the brothers, he would find out. And Yosef knew the one thing that would destroy the family would be if Yaakov ever found out what the brothers did to him. And so until he was reunited with them, until peace was made, until all the family was together, Yosef couldn't let his father know. It's true, if he let his father know, his father would get Yosef back. But then he would lose all the other children because of the evil that they perpetrated. And it was evil. It was a big mistake. A big mistake. But once they were reunited, once Yosef and Yaakov understood how this was all part of Hashem's plan, we could even say that according to that understanding, Yaakov never, ever knew what really happened. At least they didn't tell him. He could have surmised all he wanted. But now that he was together with all his children, now Vayechi, now Yaakov is alive. He lived for 17 good years. And as our Chazal tell us, if the last 17 years are good years, then despite all the trials and tribulations that Yaakov went through, and please, Rabbosai, remember, of all the forefathers, Yaakov was the one who davened Ma'ariv. Yaakov was the one who lived in the darkest of nights. From the time he was a child on, there were constant battles just to get what was due him. And even after everything seemed so perfect, he suffered terribly throughout his life. So many, many difficulties in his life. Esav, Lavan, Rachel, Leah, Dinah, Yosef, the brothers, being almost buried in Egypt and begging his child, Yosef, to take him out of Egypt. And so it says, Vayechi Yaakov Eretz Mitzrayim. Yaakov lived in the land of Egypt. Now, later on in the Sedja, and I want to go to that first, and then we're going to discuss some other very interesting things. Let's take a look at some of the other issues that are mentioned in this week's Sedja. If I can get rid of this for a second. Okay, there we go. All right, there we go. Now, in Perek Mem Tes, the pasuk says. Actually, we can scroll down to it right from here. We'll get a hold of the pasuk. At the end of all the brachos that Yaakov gives to the brothers, after all of them, we'll come back to some of the brachos if we can. But at the end of the brachos, the pasuk tells us an interesting thing. After Binyamin was given the bracha, Yaakov commands his children. And look what it says here. Look at this pasuk right here. Vayechal Yaakov l'tzavos esponav. And Yaakov completed commanding his children to take him and bury him in Ma'aras HaMachpelah. Vaye'esof raglov el hamita. He gathered his feet onto the bed. Vayigva. And he expired. Vayeyosef el amav. And he was gathered unto his people. Let's focus first on these last three words. He was gathered unto his people. What does that mean? It says he put his feet on the bed, he expired, And then it said he was gathered unto his people. Where was he gathered? He expired. It means he was dead. And then it says he was gathered unto his people. Rabbi, I want you to know, these three words are an open statement of the existence of Olam Haba. Yaakov expires. The second he expires, where did he go? He was gathered unto his people. He was gathered to Abraham. He was gathered to Yitzchak. He was gathered to Shem, to Aver, to Noach, to all the righteous ones among his people. He was gathered to his people. This is one of the open statements in the Torah about the existence of Olam Haba. But I want to go a step further. Do you notice what's missing in this sentence? It says Yaakov completed to command his children. Stop there, fine. Nothing missing there. He gathered his feet to the bed, he expired, and he was gathered unto his people. What's missing? What's missing here? Did you notice? It doesn't say he died. It just says he expired. Shouldn't it say Vayigva, Vayomos, Vayeyosef Elamav? He died and he expired and was gathered to his people. The word Vayomos is missing. Lo and behold, look at Rashi right here. Vayigva, Vayeyosef. He expired and he gathered to his people. Umiso lo nemrabo. It doesn't say he died. It doesn't say death by Yaakov. The Amr Rabboseinu, and our rabbis say, Yaakov Avinu lo meis. How do you like that? Yaakov Avinu lo meis. Yaakov, our father, did not die. It doesn't say meis. It means he didn't die.
Wow. His neshama didn't die. The neshama didn't die.
It doesn't say he died. You're interpreting that it means his neshama. Huh, Maya?
Neshama never dies.
Yes.
What? The neshama never dies. Okay. Okay. Let's take a look at the Daf Yomi on Tainus, on Daf Hey Amid Aleph. I want to learn a good piece of Gemara with you. On Masechta Tainus, one of my Choshev Talmidim who's on the Shiur tonight, Mordechai Gottlieb, soll sein gesund. He finished Masechta Tainus recently, Tzaddik. He learned the whole Masechta in honor of his brother's chasana. What a wonderful thing. And he learned this Daf Hey Amid Beis. Let's take a look at this interesting Daf. Says the Gemara. Starting over here, you see my arrow? Right? You see my arrow up here? Right? Hello? Yeah?
Yeah, we see it. We see it.
Okay, great. Okay, it's let's see, 3 lines before the wide lines. Omalei Rav Nachman le Rav Yitzchak. Rav Nachman said to Rav Yitzchak, Lema mar, may the master say, Milsa, some statement. Give out with a statement, because as it says before that, Rav Nachman and Rav Yitzchak have yasu besudasa. Rav Nachman and Rav Yitzchak were sitting in a Suda, and Rav Nachman said to Rav Yitzchak, tell me a Dvar Torah. Tell me something, Zogi be'avot. Say something, right? Amalei, he said, Hachi Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said, Ein masichin b'seuda. You're not allowed to talk while you're eating. Ein masichin b'seuda. Not allowed to talk while you're eating. Why? Shema yaktim kana levashet. Because when you're eating, you don't want the food to go down the windpipe. It's got to go down the esophagus, not the trachea. And if you speak, the epiglottis opens and the trachea is exposed. And if the food goes into the trachea, you can aspirate the food and choke, God forbid, to death, unless somebody knows it. Heimlich maneuver at the table to save your life,
Yes, Rabbi Stoll, I remember.
Mordechai is reminding me of something, right? So, which I had the schus of saving somebody's life once by doing that. Baruch Hashem. I don't even know how I did it, but I did it. Baruch Hashem. Anyway, so it says you're not allowed to speak, and then you have only day sakana, and a person will become in great danger. Okay, they'll both say, here's something we just learned that's worthwhile remembering. You shouldn't speak while you're eating. Okay? Bosa, the Saud, after they finished eating, Amalei, now he could give a Dvar Torah. So he said, Hachi Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Here's a statement that Rabbi Yochanan made. Look at this statement. Yaakov Avinu lo meis. He said, Yaakov, our forefather, never died. How do you like that? He told him at the meal, Yaakov Avinu lo meis. Amalei, so the other one said to him, he said, V'chi bichdi safdu safdaina. V'chantu chantaya. Are you kidding? Did they make a hesped for nothing? Did they embalm him for nothing? The kavrei kavraya, did they bury him for nothing? Now, by the way, Yaakov was not embalmed in an illegal fashion. I don't have time to go through it, but the psukim point out that the embalming was done according to Jewish law. And that's why it says that the brothers went and took care of this. I'm not going to go into that. It's not our topic for today. But let's go further. So he said to him, you're telling me he didn't die. What? They made Hespedim for nothing? Because it says they made big Hespedim for Yaakov. And they embalmed him to some degree. And they buried him. He was buried. But what do you tell me? They buried a live person? He said, no. He said, no. Mikra anidoresh. I'm darshaning another pasuk. Shenemar, it says in pasuk in Yirmiyah, va'atah altira of the Yaakov ne'um Hashem. Don't be afraid, says Hashem. Va'al techas Yisrael, don't tremble, O Israel. Ki hineni moshiacha me'rachok, because I'm going to save you from far away. Ve'ezaracha me'eretz shavim, and your children are going to return home from their captivity. So the Gemara now goes and says, Makish hu Lazaro, he is compared to his progeny. Mazaro b'chayim, just as the future of the Jewish people is alive, af hu b'chayim, so he is alive. Now both sides. Can you imagine if Rabbi Yitzchak and Rabbi Nachman were eating when he said this? Can you imagine? This is the first time anybody said such a statement. Till Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Yitzchak, nobody made this statement. All of a sudden, they're eating together, and he's chomping on his drumstick, and the other one is chomping on a piece of potato kugel. You understand? Probably potato kugel. I don't know. And he says, tell me Dvar Torah. And he says, he wanted Dvar Torah. Okay, listen to this one. Yaakov never died. While he's about to swallow a piece of food, he would almost choke to death trying to respond to him. What are you can't go and say a thing like that. Doesn't make any sense. That's why he said such an outlandish thing. But the Gemara is telling us what's interesting. What's interesting is here is if the Jewish people are alive, then Yaakov is alive, right? So I want to share something with you that I found that was written by none other than Mark Twain in the September 1899 issue of Harper's Magazine. Take a look at this. This is Mark Twain writing about the Jews. He has made a marvelous fight in this world in all the ages. You all see this? Do you see this?
No.
No? Okay, so let me get the screen.
No.
Okay, I'm glad I said that. Okay, let me get the screen share on this. 1 second. I will get the screen share on this. 1 second. Okay. I want you to see this. It's crucial. All right. Let's get to the bottom of this. Where's my screen share? Where are we? Okay. I go over here. Go over here. I don't know how I got this one here, but let's try. Whoops.
That's you.
Oh, if I go over here, you get this. Okay, this you get. Okay, so this you get. So what I have to do is I have to bring this up here. Give me a moment. And I'm going to bring this up there. Okay, I'm going to bring this up there by all right. Take this. All right. I have it here. I just don't know how to get it here. I have it right here. I don't know how to get it onto you. Give me a. Oh, I see. Okay. Stop share. Okay, now I'm going to do it in share. Okay. Now I'm going to do this. Oops. I'm going to go back to this. All right. I'm going to hit screen share on this. And now. Okay, here we go. Now you see it.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Mark Twain, Harper's Magazine, September 1899. He has made a marvelous fight in this world, in all the ages, and has done it with his hands tied behind him. This is Mark Twain about the Jews. He could be vain of himself and be excused for it. The Egyptian, the Babylonian, and the Persian rose, filled the planet with sound and splendor, then faded to dream stuff and passed away. The Greek and the Roman followed and made a vast noise, and they are gone. Other peoples have sprung up and held their torch high for a time, but it burned out, and they sit in twilight now, or have vanished. The Jew saw them all, beat them all, and is now what he always was, exhibiting no decadence, no infirmities of age, no weakening of his parts. This is in 1899. No slowing of his energies, no dulling of his alert and aggressive mind. All things are mortal, but the Jew. All other forces pass, but he remains. What is the secret of his immortality? I want to tell you a story. Rabbi Yosef Kahaneman was the founder and the Rosh Yeshiva of Panovich Yeshiva. He was traveling around the world collecting funds for the yeshiva when he ended up in Rome. Actually, it wasn't not in Rome. Yeah, he ended up in Rome. And when he got to Rome, there was another great rabbi visiting Rome at the same time. Rabbi Kahaneman found out about this other rabbi's visit. I forgot the name of him. And he immediately called him up at his hotel and said, I'm sending a car for you. I want you to meet me downstairs in 10 minutes. Sure enough, the car pulls up. Rav Kahaneman is inside. The other rabbi gets in the car. He tells the driver to go where he had told him before. He drives a few minutes, and they come in Rome to the Arch of Titus. They come to the Roman Arch of Titus, which was built to commemorate the capture of Jerusalem. It's the famous picture where they're carrying off the menorah, and the Jews are in chains, and the Roman soldiers are in back of them. And he gets out of the car with this other rabbi. He stands under the Arch of Titus. And he looks up at the arch and he says, Titus, Rome, look who's here. It's me, Kahaneman. I'm here. Where are you? You're not here. I, the Jew, am here. You are not here. That's what Mark Twain said. That's an unbelievable thing. It's the kind of statement, and it's the kind of thing that makes us proud. And that's why Rashi says, Umisa lo nemra bo. There was no Misa by Yaakov. Despite the fact that he was Yaakov and not Yisrael, the fact that he was downtrodden, it didn't make a difference. Rabbi Yaakov, Rama was saying when a rabbi say, Yaakov Avinu lo meis. Yaakov, our father, did not die. All right, let's go to another interesting pasuk over here. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we're going to go back, and we're going to go to this. Oops, we go to this pasuk. And
Rabbi, don't they say that a tzaddik never dies?
Tzadikim b'misasan kruyin chayim. The Gemara in Bracha says tzadikim b'misasan kruyin chayim. The tzadikim, when they're dead, are still called alive. And you're
That's right. They say nifta, no?
That's why they what?
They say nifta.
Nifter. Nifter went from one place to the other. Right.
Yes.
Nifter means.
Also, it says Sivsoisam Daiva was Bakever.
Sivsosam Dovos Bakeva when you speak about them, 100%. I want to go to a very interesting pasuk, which, you know, it's quite familiar to us, by the way. Oh, I went to the Rashi. How do you like that? I wanted to go to the pasuk. Okay, we'll go to the pasuk. 1 second. Here we go. Okay. I want you to take a look at this pasuk. This is the pasuk in which Yaakov gives the bracha to Yosef's children. Very, very famous pasuk. Okay. And he says, "Whoops."
Mark Twain is still
Where
on
is
the
the
board.
where is the Rabbi? The pasuk is not there yet.
I'll show it to you. 1 second. We're gonna have to get a new share. Hold on. I'll give you the pasuk in a second. We're going to share the screen in a moment. We're going to give you the pasuk. Okay. Here we go. It's a new share. All right.
Okay.
All right. So this pasuk is a very, very famous pasuk. It's said by parents to children, certainly Erev Yom Kippur, but by many every single Friday night. It says, Yaakov is giving a bracha to Ephraim and Menashe. Vayevorachem vayom ahu leimor. And he blessed them on that day saying, you see it now, right? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes,
He blessed them on that day saying, B'cho yivarech Yisrael leimor. In you, Ephraim and Menashe, in you are all of Israel going to bless when they bless their children. And they're going to say, Yisimcha Elokim, Ephraim v'Menashe. Hashem should make you just like Ephraim and Menashe. Rabosai, we have to ask ourselves a question. There's Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. There's Moshe and Aaron. There's Yosef and David. There's Shlomo HaMelech. But whenever we give our children a bracha, we say, Yisimcha Elokim ke'Ephraim v'Menashe. Why do we dafka pick on Ephraim and Menashe more than anyone else? Yehuda was not valuable. Yehuda is the king. Why not Yehuda? Why Ephraim and Menashe? So there are many answers. The Oznayim LaTorah, the famous Lutzker Rav Zalman Sorotzkin Zal, who established the great yeshiva in Tells. He ended up living his years in writing the beautiful Day of Hadibur and his Naim Torah. He explains as follows. He says, every Jewish parent over all the history of the Jewish people, the majority of the time, we have been outside Eretz Israel. We have been raising our children in the most alien of environments. It has not been hospitable in many instances and in many ways. Listen, can you imagine, with persecution all around you and the hatred for the Jew all around you, and even in the United States of America where it's so free, but the culture has such an awesome power and influence on the hearts and minds of so many people. The so-called pleasures of freedom that entices the heart and the Yetzer to want to be part of it. I don't want to be different. I don't want to have to give up on the fun in life. You know, all you rabbis want to do is take away my fun. You're taking all my fun away. Can't go to the basketball game on Shabbos. Can't go to the beach on Shabbos. Can't go to every movie I want or any movie I want, whatever. I gotta have Shmiras Haloshin. I gotta have Shmiras Einayim. Shmiras this, Shmiras that, Shmiras Shabbos, Shmiras here, Shmiras there. All these restrictions. I can't go into McDonald's and eat a horse burger if I want. Terrible. What's my life going to be like if I can't have some horse meat? You know? Or lobster, you know? It's the end all and be all, right? What do I need it for? And everyone's telling me, oh, it's so good. It's so good. You know? Join the American dream, you know? And can you imagine being under the influence of this for all the past 2,000 years in exile? We have good yeshivas today. We have opportunities to see great gedolim up close. So it might help a little bit, but it's so difficult. Yaakov knows that the Jewish people are going to be in such a position. And he says, I want to show you something. You see Ephraim? You see Menashe? Who were their friends? When they were growing up and they were 6 years old and they wanted to go out and play, who were their playmates? Ramses the 42nd? Who were their friends? Yul Brenner? Who could they hang out with? Bunch of Egyptians? Maybe some Arabs? Yasir? Or some other Yamach Shemainik? Who are they going to hang out with? They had no friends. And if they did, they were limited. And they were princes. And they had to be different because Yosef didn't allow them to go and do the wrong thing. He taught them, wash before eating, say a bracha. You're a Jew. You're different. We don't think the way they do. We don't worship the way they do. Everybody's worshiping idols, and we're slaughtering sheep. Can you imagine how they grew up? How difficult it must have been to raise them as princes in an alien environment where everything is at their fingertips and they can have the world without even asking because they're the princes. And here they're being taught to follow in the ways of the Torah. Can you imagine how difficult it must have been? So Yaakov says, I look at you two, I look at you Ephraim, and I look at you Menashe, and I see that you keep the laws of the Torah, despite the fact that you have been raised in a terribly alien environment, despite the fact that you have been torn away from a support group as big as Yaakov and his children, as big as myself and my family. It's extremely difficult. Listen, Abraham was the beginning, and he was 75 years old when he started his mission in life. Yitzchak was a carbon. He had it easy. He had a father, Abraham, and a mother, Sarah. But you guys, you were raised in Egypt, in an alien environment, with no one around to support you. And you managed to turn out to be Ephraim and Menashe. Oh boy. In you, Yivarech Yisrael Lemor. In you shall the Jewish people eternally bless their children. Yisimcha Elokim, Ephraim v'chem Manasseh. May Hashem make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. And I dare say that even though we have a minhag, that for girls we say, Yisimecha Elokim Kesara Rivka Rachel v'Leah, I want to tell you something. I think it's okay to give girls the bracha Yisimcha Elokim Ephraim v'chem Manasseh too. Because what you're really saying is, I want you as young girls to be as strong as Ephraim and Manasseh. Now, there are those who argue and say, Rachel and Leah were also that way. They also were raised under Lavan, which is outside. But the idea is the same. We're blessing our children that they should have the guts, the fortitude, the inner strength to look at the world with open eyes. Maybe to read a little Mark Twain once in a while. Maybe to get a clear picture of what the Jewish people really are. Maybe to stand under that arch of Titus, look up, see the menorah being taken off into captivity, and yell out, "Hey, Titus, where are you? I'm here. Ephraim and Manasseh are here. Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah are here. We're here. Where are you?" And the Jewish people live on. And that's why our Chazal told us, Yaakov Avinu lo mes. Yaakov, our father, doesn't die because Mazaro b'chayim, afu b'chayim. Just like his future, the children, the next generation, the ones we teach, the ones we share the Torah with, the people we meet, who look at us as we make a Kiddush Hashem and are drawn closer to the Torah by virtue of our comportment, of the way we deal with them, about the honest and open way that we make the Torah beloved in the eyes of many. That's what Yaakov told Ephraim and Manasseh, Yisimcha Elokim ki Ephraim v'chem Manasseh. You should be like Ephraim and Manasseh. There's so much more in this beautiful, beautiful Sedra. I'll give you a little something to think about over Shabbos. There is only one time in this week's Sedra, and actually it's the only time in the last three Sedras that the name of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, is mentioned. In this week's Sedra, God's name only appears once. In other Sedras, different names of God appears, but in this week's Sedra, only the name Yud Kei Vav Kei appears. Only one time. Why does it appear in that one time? I'll give you a hint. It's in the bracha for the Shevet of Dan. Dan Yodin Amo, Ka'achad Shivtei Yisrael, Yehi Dan Nachash, Alei Derech, Shvifon Alei Orech, Anoshech Ikvei Sus, Vayipol Rochbo Ochor, Lishuascha, Kivisi, Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's the only place in this week's Sedra that it says Hashem's name. I'll ask you another question on that same thing. Do you know that Lishuascha Kivisi Hashem is the only pasuk in the Torah that is read backwards and forwards and in the middle? In the Kriya Shema Alamita, we say that pasuk 3 times. Once, we say Lishuascha Hashem. The second time we say Hashem Lishua. The second time we say Kivisi Hashem Lishuascha. And the third time we say Hashem Lishuascha Kivisi. Why is that? Why is that? So you have something to think about. Look around. See if you can find a good answer. There are many. I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom. Yeah,
That's a correct, Rabbi.
Rabbi, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It is my pleasure.
You know, Rabbi, you don't have to-
Rabbi,
No, one at a time. Hold on. Hold it. One at a time. One at a time. Go ahead.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
you don't have to go back to 1844. You can say it today too. Hitler Machshema, look, we're still here.
Right.
1944. Yeah, right.
1944. Right. We're still here. Right. 100%. All right. Anybody
Thank
else?
you.
Anybody
Good
else?
Shabbos, Rabbi Snow.
Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, Mordcha. Good Shabbos.
Baruch Hashem, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Hashem should bless you with only good things.
Amen. We should end.
Thank
maybe
you very-
right here
Okay,
together.
thank you, Chipon one.
Thank you very much.
Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Daf
7
Yomi.
a.m.
7 a.m.
Good Shabbos,
Good
Rabbi.
Shabbos, Rabbi.
Shabbos.
Thank you very
Shabbat
much.
Shalom.
Shabbos well.
Sei gesund.
All right.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
I just heard actually, about this possible Shaschu Kivisi Hashem. We say it, like you say, backwards and forwards. It says that wherever you turn, so only without Hashem's help, you cannot. Wherever you turn, there's no way to turn without Hashem's help.
Nice answer. Yeshikawach David Aronowitz. Yeshikawach.
You're
Yeshikawach.
welcome.
Have a good Shabbos, everybody.
Have a
Good Shabbos.
Bye-bye.
Shabbos.